Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Bible Study Minute. Today we're taking a look at Ezra chapters 3 and 4. And in these chapters, we get a lot of information and there's a lot going on. So let's dive right in. So the first thing we see happening here is that once the people of Judah have settled back into the land, they immediately get to work. And the first thing they do is they focus on rebuilding the altar. And once the altar is complete, what they do is they resume the sacrifices. So even without having a temple, they have the altar, so they begin making sacrifices to the Lord. So they resume the morning and evening sacrifice with the priests, and then they, because of the time of year, they celebrate the Feast of Booths, and then from there they begin just offering all the offerings that they were supposed to offer as a people. And then this also includes the free will offerings that people were bringing voluntarily unto the Lord. And so at this point, everything is great. I mean, they don't have a temple yet, but they're getting back to normalcy and a regular worship of the Lord. And for this, they're feeling great. So once the celebration of the Feast of Booths is done, they begin to get to work on rebuilding the temple. And rebuilding the temple begins with first laying the foundation. And this work goes on for some time. And once the foundation is laid and complete, the people rejoice and celebrate. But not everyone is celebrating, because there are some people there that are old enough to remember Solomon's temple before it was destroyed, and they know that this new temple is not going to have the same splendor that Solomon's did. So there is some wailing and remorse, but overall there's celebration. But this is where the story takes a little bit of a turn. So it's not all easy sailing, because there are some opponents that don't want to see this temple rebuilt. They don't like that the people of Israel are back in their land. So there are some people that were brought into the land of Israel to settle it after Israel was taken captive by Assyria. And these people want to help rebuild the temple. But of course, Israel says no, because one, Cyrus said that it was the Israelites that were supposed to rebuild this temple, and they're trying to stick to the orders and rebuild this temple for their God. And because of this rejection, these people take offense, and then they do whatever they can to make life difficult for the people of Israel as they try to rebuild this temple. And this escalates to the point where they send a letter to the king and say, hey, if this temple is rebuilt and the city walls are rebuilt, then they're going to stop paying taxes and so on and so forth, and they're just going to rebel against Persia. And the king thought about this and was like, you know what? Until I can find a decree elsewhere that says that they have permission to do this, then everything is going to stop. And so that's exactly what happens. The king sends word back, and everything is stopped. And that is where chapter 4 ends. It ends on a huge cliffhanger where Israel is just waiting. But what can we take away from these two chapters? Well, the main thing is that following the Lord is not easy. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be without difficulty. It's like Paul told Timothy in his second letter in 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 12, that all who desire to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will face persecution. Well, this is the same thing that's happening to the people of Israel. They're following the Lord. They're doing exactly what he told them to do, what King Cyrus told them to do. But there are people that do not follow God, and those people are going to do whatever they can to prevent us from following God and doing those things. But we have to remember in those situations that God is sovereign. He's the one who's ultimately in charge, and he is the one that even allowed these difficulties to come. And in many ways, they are a means of trying and testing our faith and resolve in the Lord. So that is what I want you to focus on, is rejoice in the good times that the Lord brings your way. But at the same time, when difficulties do come, it is not a reason to turn your back on the Lord. Just know that these kind of difficulties will come in your life, but it's no reason to not trust that you are on the path that God has you on. So that's all I got for now. Until next time, grace and peace.